Hey, a warm welcome to you and thanks a lot for taking my course. I hope you know about PyPi, that's the Python package index. Basically, you don't come here, but when you install a package using pip, like pip install pandas, what you're doing is you're accessing this repository. So pandas is stored in this repository, and so you are downloading pandas on your computer. Now, in this section, what we're going to do is we're going to build our own package and upload it to PyPi. So others can then install our package with pip install and the name that we'll give to our package. So please prepare a new PyCharm project. I've already created an empty one with venv inside, and use the latest version of Python if you can. Otherwise, older versions should also be fine, like 3.7, 3.8, 9, 10, 11, whatever you have. So in the next video, I'll show you what this package will consist of. I'll talk to you there. Hey, welcome back. Let me show you what package we're going to build. We're going to reuse the code of one of the applications we built previously in the course, and that was application 4. So instead of creating new codes, I want to focus on the process of building a package. So just to refresh your memory, application 4 was about some codes which gets a bunch of Excel files, such as these ones here. So I can open them for you here in Excel. So we had some values, so invoices like this product. So 2 units of this product were purchased by this buyer, and that's the price per unit, that's the total price. And then we iterated over these Excel files with this code, and then we produced one PDF for each of these Excel files. So we are creating invoices, PDF invoices out of each of those Excel files. So this PDF invoice here represents that Excel file that I just showed you. So our purpose now is to make this code public, and the best way to make that code public is by creating a package. So making that functionality a package so that users can simply install it and then use it. So let's see the first step, how to make that a package. So the first step to make this code a package is to make sure that you have placed the codes inside functions or classes. So let's do that in the next video. So that was just to introduce you to this. You can find attached the code in the lecture resources for this lecture. So please download that, and so that we are using the same code. And then in the next video, we're going to transform this code so it's ready to be uploaded to PyPi as a package. So I'll talk to you in the next video. Hey, welcome back. So as I mentioned, we're going to create a package which allows users to create PDF invoices from Excel invoices. And we're going to use this code from app number 4. So you can find this code attached in the previous video if you want it. And I'm just going to copy the main.py file which you're looking at. I'm going to copy that file and go to my app20 Python package project. So that's the new project I have. I'm going to paste that main.py file in here. The first thing we want to do is we want to rename this. So right click and go to refactor rename. We want to give it a more meaningful name because this is going to be a public file, and this will be actually the name that people, programmers, will import. I'm going to just name it invoice and press on refactor. Let's install the packages. We need those. So pandas and fpdf. Right. Successful. And then, as I mentioned in the previous video, a package needs functions or classes because the way users will import your package will be something like this. So let's say we are in Python, in a Python console or anything else. So users will import invoice. I'm not executing it because it will execute this code. But let's say we imported it, and then users are going to look for a function or a class, right? Such as generate invoice. So if you want to keep it simple, you can go with a function. Otherwise, you could create a class here, which could be something like invoice, and then you'd say invoice, well, it's too many invoices, but let's say invoice instance or PDF invoice is equal to that. And then later in the next line, you do PDF invoice dot generate. But we'll keep it simple and just use a function. So a function called something like generate, right? The generate would do it. It's a good name because we have invoice for the file name. So invoice.generate would make sense. It's a readable name. And I'm going to select all the code inside def generate and press tab to indent it under this line. So now these lines are part of the function. Make some space here. Right, so now let's think of the user, of the programmers. The programmers will have some Excel files as input, right? And they want some PDF files as output. Therefore, we want to allow them to define the directory where their Excel files are located. And we do that by using a parameter here. Let's say invoice path or invoices path, since we are working with multiple invoices. PDF's path, so this will be the folder where the PDF files will be generated, and this will be the folder, so the directory of the path. It could be a subdirectory or anything. So it's a relative path. So these are relative paths to where the user is working currently. We'll see more clear when we use this as a user, when we use the package after we upload it to PyPi. So we need to let the user specify these two, and then of course you need to replace this, maybe make it an F string. You could also use the pathlib library, but I'm going to keep it simple here and just focus on creating the package. So f invoices underscore path. So that parameter goes here. So whatever the user uses when they call the function like generate, or more accurately invoice.generate, and they'll pass here, oh, my XLSX folder or something like that. That string is going to go here, and then it's going to go here. And we expect that the user has XLSX files inside that directory. So file paths will be a list of Excel files. And then we iterate over that list of Excel files. We create a PDF document. So for each iteration, we create one separate PDF document. So in the first iteration, we create the first document. We add a page to that PDF. Then we add all the data. And now we assume at this step that the user has some columns with these names there, right? Product ID, product name, amount purchased. So currently this package will work only if the user has these exact names in their XLSX files. Otherwise it will not work. So if we want to make that more dynamic, so to allow users to have different names for their columns in the Excel files, we want to also give them the possibility to provide here the names of their columns as argument values. So when they call the function, let's say that was the input folder, the output folder perhaps, and then they will give the names of the columns here. So for example, if their product ID is not product ID, but it's perhaps ID, they'll give that column name in here, followed by product name, which could be perhaps just name, etc. So let's provide those in here as argument names. So product ID, you can choose any variable names here. So product ID, product name, so that then I'll get product ID and I'll replace it with this string. So it's not hard-coded, but we get the value that the user prefers. So in this case, it will be ID. And therefore, Python will try to access that column with that name from the Excel file. So that would be product name, again, a variable, and amount purchased. I'll go for this name again here, amount purchased, and I'll split it into another line. Next, so let's remove the quotes from that. Price per unit, remove the quotes, and total price, remove the quotes from total price. So now these columns are not hard-coded anymore. And also here, yeah, df, so this is to calculate the total price. So our code is also going through the last column and making the sum of all the numbers here and displaying that in the PDF, as you saw in the app 4. So for example, that's the total price, right? So what else do we have hard-coded in here? Let's check. So usually you should look for quotes and things that smell like python-how.png. This is also hard-coded. And so let's say image path here. So then we add that here, image path, as the third argument. So we're going to expect from the user as the third argument, like my company.png. They'll have a file somewhere in their directory, in their root directory. Now you'd ask, well, how does the user know what arguments to pass here? Well, for that we're going to have a docstring here where we will explain this generate function. So that will be like the help string that the users can then access using something like help invoice.generate, something like that. And that will display the help function for them, where we describe to them how they can use the package or the generate function more specifically here. And there's one more hard-coded value here, and that is the PDFs. That is the directory where the PDFs will be generated. So let's make it a placeholder like that. And inside here goes PDFs path, right? PDFs path. Now, this PDFs path is supposed to exist. So therefore, we want to access os.makeDirs to create that PDFs path. So whatever the user enters here, like PDFs, we will generate that directory for the users. So make sure to import os. So now it will be imported in here. So os makeDirs, we create that directory, and then we place the PDF files in that directory. And that's how you can create a function which is now ready and it's package compatible. So the code now can be used as a package. Let's finish this video in here and then try the package in the next video as a user. So to test the package. So before we upload it to PyPi, we can test it locally to see if things work. Let's do the testing in the next video. Hey, welcome back. In this video, we're going to do two things. First, we're going to test this module, which is still a module, so it's not a package. And then the second thing we're going to do is we're going to convert this module into a package. So just to refresh your memory, the difference between a module and a package is that a module is one single .py file, and a package is at least two files put inside a directory. So it's better to have a package, and I'll explain you why in the second part of this video. But for now, let's test this module. So to test the module, it means that it's simple. You just have to create a working file. So let's say main.py. So let's suppose that the user is using your module. So they create a file in their PyCharm directory and they want to import invoice. So that's how they would do this. Now this works for now because invoice is in the same directory with main.py, right? In a real scenario, the user would install invoice from PyPi, right? And then they would import it the same way. But for testing purposes, we don't need to upload it to PyPi yet, since we have it here. So import invoice and then invoice.generate. And now if the user don't know what to place inside here, you can hover the cursor here and it will tell you these parameters. Or alternatively, you can open a Python console, import invoice here as well, and just do help invoice.generate. And that will display you the parameters of the function, so invoice path, PDF's path, etc. If we had a docstring, which you can do, so you can create here a docstring like that, right? Our PyCharm automatically creates these, and then you can also add some extra information such as this function converts Excel files into, or more accurately, invoice Excel files into PDF invoices. So save that. Now you need to close this console and open it again and do again import invoice. And if you do help invoice.generate, you're gonna get that docstring this time, as you can see there, and the parameters. So that actual string is displayed in here, plus the generate function with its parameters. So now as a user, I can look at here and provide those arguments. So the first argument is the path where the Excel files are. And for that, I'm going to create a new directory here. Maybe name it invoices. And in that directory, I'm going to paste those Excel files. I copied that earlier. You can find these Excel files attached in the previous video, but also in this video. So that folder contains these XLSX files, and I'm going to just write here invoices, the name of the directory, the PDF's path directory. I'm going to create a directory for that as well, like output. Although we could improve this part by going to invoice and saying here that, so at the very end here, at the last two lines, we say if os.path.exists PDF's path, colon, and then indent this. Actually, it should be not, if not. So if the path does not exist, we create it, right? So that means the user doesn't need to create a output folder here. They just want to declare what name they want their new folder to have, and Python will create it for them if it doesn't exist. So then the image path, if you have an image, you can find a PNG image attached in the previous video or this one as well. And I want you to please paste that image in the root directory of the project. So here it is, pythonhow.png in the root directory. and I'm going to specify that name here, Python how dot png. Then we want to specify the names of the columns. So for that, we need to look at our Excel file. So product ID, product name in the given order, product ID. I'll split this line here. Product underscore name. Then we have amount purchased. Then we have price per unit and total price. Price underscore per unit and total price. So yeah, that's it. That's about the arguments. And that's how the user would use this library. So now we're ready to call this. Run main. This obviously needs this library openpyxl, which normally it will be installed as a dependency when the user installs the invoice package. But since we are locally now, we need to install it separately using pip install openpyxl. So this is to read, so this is needed to read XLSX files. And yeah, let's run again. This time no errors, so let's see output. And yeah, it seems to be working. So the testing of the library was successful. Now let's convert this library, which is actually a module, into a package. So we use the words library, module, and package. Library refers to either a module or a package. And a module is just one file as it is now. So it's just one file. Please ignore these directories, so these are for testing only. But our module has only one .py file. So if we wanted to add more code in the future, let's say we want to expand our code to also convert the Excel files into HTML. So for that, we need to add another function, right? But it would be better to have that function in a separate file, not inside invoice.py, but somewhere else. And in that case, we would need a package, because a package is more than one module. So currently we have the invoice.py module, and a package would be a directory with multiple modules inside. So let's turn this into a package, even though we only have one function for now. For the sake of scalability, so to prepare for the scenario when we want to add more code later, we want to convert this into a package right now. So to do that, you want to create a new folder in your root directory. Let's call our package invoicing, perhaps invoicing, right? And you want to drag invoice.py to invoicing and press on refactor here. And so now we have a package with one module inside. And if you want to add more modules later, you can go to new and create a new Python file, right? Now, a good practice is to have a __init__.py file inside invoicing. So press enter, and that will create this .py file. Why is this a good practice? This was mandatory actually before Python 3.3. If you wanted that folder to behave as a package, you would have to have this file. Now it's not necessary, but sometimes it's still good to have it, because you can import in init.py things from invoice.py. Let me talk about that in 1 minute. But now that we have this invoicing package, we can go here and we would need to import it as from invoicing import invoice. You see PyCharm updated this line automatically, because before it was just import invoice. So when we moved invoice to invoicing, PyCharm refactored all the project. So now we have this. So with a package, the import statement would be different, as you can see. You say from invoicing import invoice. Now, you cannot do, for example, from invoicing import generate, right? So if I run this, I'm going to get an error. Cannot import name generate, because invoicing doesn't have a name generate here, right? But if you want users to be able to import generate like that, you should go to init.py and do from dot invoice. So we're inside invoicing here, right? Import generate. And now, as a user, you can successfully execute this code. So that's the purpose of the init file. Basically, you can make available certain names at the level of the package, right? So, as you can see, from invoices, import generate. So you skipped this module and you made available that function of that module like that. So this is not usually the case, but if you need to do that, that's how you do it. And yeah, that's our package invoicing. And now we can delete these files from our project, because in the next video we're going to upload the package to PyPi. So I'm deleting all those testing files and also main.py. So I'm going to keep only the package with init inside, invoice.py, and the image here. Oh, also the image we don't need because it was part of testing. So just the package directory with init and invoice.py. And yeah, that's about this video. Let's upload the package to PyPi in the next video. See you. Hey, welcome back. In this video, we're going to upload our package to the internet, to PyPi, the Python package index. So all packages that we install are actually stored in the Python package index. So if you do pip install pandas as a user, you are installing pandas from this website. So we want to have our package listed in here. So for example, if you search for pandas, it shows the pandas package. So we want to be able to search for our package here as well. Let's see how we can do that. We need to go to PyCharm again. So make sure that invoicing is here with these two files. So everything looks good on my end. You can close these files. And you need to create a setup.py file here. Now, I've uploaded a setup.py file in the lecture resources, so you can download that file and just paste it here instead of creating it from scratch. So that's the file. I'm going to paste it in here. So you see now setup.py is in the same directory with invoicing. You see, they are both inside this root directory. Now, setup.py, what is it? Well, this file specifies the parameters for creating the package. So I've already written out the details of the package, and I'll explain them now for you. So here we import this setup function from setup tools. This is a standard library. It's used to create packages. Then we call that function here. You see the opening parentheses and the closing parentheses here. So this function gets multiple arguments. So that's the first argument. So that is the name argument, and it gets the name of the package. So we want to call it invoicing, for example. Now, before deciding on the name, you want to first make sure that there's no other package with that name. So search for that name, invoicing, or copy it here and paste it here so that you can make sure you are typing the correct name. And you'll see that there is actually a package made by someone already for generating from latex templates invoicing. So that means this name is occupied. And you want to come up with something else. Perhaps invoicing PDF, press enter. Yeah, this name seems to be available. So we would go here and say invoicing minus PDF. Then we go to the packages argument. That is set to a list in case you have multiple packages. We have only one package here, invoicing, and that's the name of the package. So that should reflect that. The users will install using this name. So that's the actual name, or the official name of the package. The version here is 1.0.0 since this is the first release, so that is the default. This is a license on how to use the package, so MIT, you can search for this on Google to learn more about this sort of license. So it means everybody is basically free to use this license, this package. The description, here I gave a short description to this package, so just a string divided by a comma, of course, because it's multiple arguments. The author is my name here. I'd like to reformat this code, actually, reformat the file so we don't need these spaces between the assignment operator. So that's my name. This should be your email address. It's fine if you just write some dummy email address there. Your URL of your website as well. The keywords. So you want people to search for your package. So you want some keywords that should show your package if the users happen to search for any of these keywords. So just write a list of multiple strings. Install requires. This argument specifies what dependencies should be installed for your package to work correctly. So our package is, you can see it has the pandas, the globe, fpdf, and pathlib libraries, also OS. But here pandas and fpdf are third-party libraries, therefore we need them in here. Oh, I also need pandas here, I forgot it. So pandas, fpdf, also open pyxl. Even though this is not imported, we know that it's a dependency when reading Excel files with pandas. So that should be included there as well, even though it's not imported. Then we have the classifiers argument, which is some metadata about the package, so the development status, alpha, intended audience, and also the Python versions it supports. And yeah, that's it. You can save this file, close it, close that file as well, and you want to go to the terminal and we want to do Python setup.py. So I am in the root directory, so I can access setup.py, which also is in the root directory, as dist. Press enter and reload the root directory, and it will show you this dist directory. And that's something we need to upload now to the Python package index. To do the uploading, you need a library called twine. So please do pip install twine in your terminal. That will install the twine third-party library. And then you do twine upload --skip existing dist, and you want to upload everything from the dist folder. So that's a command you should run. So press enter to run that. Oh, I made a typo, upload pad, sorry. Let's run it again. Enter username. Now you need an account on the package index. So make sure to register and then try to log in to make sure the registration is successful. So I'm logging in with my username and my password here. So that's my account. Therefore, as username, I'll type in my username in here, press enter, and then you need to type in your password. So I'm pasting my password since I copied it before. It will be invisible, so even though you are typing it or pasting it, you'll not see it, but you can press enter and be sure that it will be recognized. So that was my username and password for PyPi. And so my uploading was successful. I can view my package at this page. So there we go. Invoicing -pdf 1.0.0, and you can install it with this command. So just copy that command and let's install it as a user. So let's install with that command, pip install invoicing. The last part here is not necessary, so if you want to install this particular version, you should do this. In this case, we only have one version, so it doesn't make any difference, but I'll just do the general command, so that was successfully installed. Let's try it now. But I want to create a directory here, just write test, and inside this directory I want to create a main.py file. Why didn't I put main.py in the root directory, you would ask? Because if I did that and then I imported invoicing, that would import the local package, not the actual package which we installed. So I'm doing this nesting here so that I make sure that I'm not importing any local files. Right, and then you want to do from invoicing import invoice, right? And then you use it as invoice.generate. Now you'd ask, well, shouldn't we do invoicing PDF? Well, no, because this is like the official name of the package, which is the name the package is listed on PyPi, so this one, and also the name you use for installing. However, when you import it, you should import the name of the package. You remember in setup.py, we had this. That's the name, that's the package. So you are importing this name now in main.py, right? Usually though, the name here of the package, the official name, is the name as the practical name of the package. That's usually the case. There are cases though, like scikit-learn, that library has a scikit-learn name, the official name, but it's imported as sklearn. And that's also the case here. So if you run this, you're not going to get an error. Of course, you can call this function as we did previously, but I'm not going to do that now. So that was how to upload your package to PyPi. If you ever want to do a change to your code, to your package, you do the change in your code and then you'd want to upload it again. But before uploading, you want to go to setup.py and change the version to something else. So depending on how big of a change that was, so if you just fix the bug, you do 1.0.1 if it was just a bug. If it was something else which doesn't break the code of users, you do 1.1.0. So not breaking the code of the users means that if I as a user had some program where I import your invoicing PDF package, and then in that code I'm using the generate function using all those arguments, right, as it was in the existing version, the change you want to do is, for example, you don't want to change any of these arguments because then my code will not work if I update the version, right? So in that case, you do it here. If you do some major change which breaks the code of the user, like you change some argument names, you remove some arguments from the generate function and so on, then you want to change the first major version in here. So that's like the communication you give to users that, oh, we have made a big change here, so your code will break. Therefore, you need to look at your code and update it with the current requirements of the library. So depending on what change you do, you want to change one of these numbers. And that's it in here. And then you do again python setup.py as dist. So that command to read the updated setup.py file and generate the dist files again. So you execute that, and then after that, twine upload skip minus existing dist everything. You execute that, and that will upload the new updated library to PyPi. That's how you make a change to your library. And yeah, that concludes this video and the production of our package. Thanks a lot for following. This was a major achievement for taking this course. So even though perhaps you didn't take it entirely, I hope you still learned something. So all the best and see you again. Thanks.